Hey guys, figured I'd give you a little tour of the NQALHA. Basically, it's a one-sided multi-axis lathe. For me, it's basically just a replacement of my left arm. I have a lot of problems with my elbows from just weak tendons and not working out like I should be. So this thing's helped me a lot. Ideally, I do hope to get a full lathe eventually, but I just didn't have the room for it, and I didn't want to get a cheap import. I wanted to be able to save and just get the last lathe that I would ever need to buy. So you can see it goes all different directions, and then you can lock it in place with this lever. So, I mean, I've been using it since last October. It's just become really natural for me now. At first it was a little clumsy, and I mean, with some things I still am clumsy, but I'm getting better with it every day. This button here turns it off and on. This has a scroll, so I can adjust the speed. And then I also have a foot pedal for it. And when I click on that foot pedal, I can hold it and it will stop the rollers. And then when I let go, it'll go the opposite direction. So if I need to flip back and forth, I can do that really quickly. That's very useful for getting things on center. I can easily just heat a small spot of a piece of tubing with my bench torch, and then once it starts moving, I can kind of go back and forth until it gets on center. This right here is the clamp that holds down the tubing or puntee that you put in there. I've put up to 60 millimeter tubing in it, and all the way down to a 7 millimeter solid rod. When you use it, the blow tube or rod has drift depending on the direction that it's spinning, so it could slide left or right. And the smaller diameter, the longer it's going to take. The bigger diameter, the faster you're going to see it happen. The speed of rotation is going to affect that also. I can put these things on there called lock collars. So for example, this right here is a lock collar. It's a 25.4 millimeter. It's somewhat adjustable. It uses an Allen screw. And so I would actually put this over the tubing or the rod of that diameter, and then it will sit in between here, so then it doesn't move back and forth. The problem with that is you can't put the piece in the kiln unless you've got a really long handle, because this is plastic, so you can't get this near the kiln. And again, it's plastic, so you've got to be really careful how hot you get things over here, because it could start to actually melt this. I've never had that happen before, but it's something I've always wondered. Honestly, I don't use these very often. I've gotten really good about just going like this, and then it loosens the clamp, and then I can just quickly move it back or forth. So for example, here's a 12 millimeter rod, and if it starts moving at all, I can just unclamp it, and then I can slide it back and forth. And really, I think I'm talking a lot about drift, but it's not something that really affects my work with it much. It's just something you've got to be aware of. The whole thing's powered by these two electric motors. This is the controller box. You can put it into a positioning mode. If I do that, it only spins when I hold the wheel. Sorry, not the wheel. It only spins when I hold the foot pedal. So no foot pedal, it doesn't spin. If I hit the foot pedal, it'll spin. This is useful, like say I have a dragon body on here and I'm assembling it. I could be like holding the dragon up like this, and then I can be putting a leg on it, and then I can move it a little, adjust it. There's a lot of uses for that. This right here is what will lock the rotation. So for example, if you have a really long piece or something that's really heavy, when you unlock it with the lever, you're going to feel it want to tilt forward like that. Well, if you have this locked, it won't tilt. So it's locked at that angle. A lot of times what I'll do is, if I'm making like a marble, for example, I could just lock it in that position, and then just stand back here and let it fall down. And again, if it gets off center, I can just use the foot pedal to go back and forth. Now I think the most obvious disadvantage of using this machine is it's only one side. So a lot of processes you need to be using both, two handles or two blow tubes. So you have to match your right hand to the speed of the lathe. So when I'm doing like a seal, for example, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll try to get my hand spinning on the right side to the same speed as the lathe, and then I'll get it up here and I'll pause it when I make the weld, and then I'll let go, and then I've got to match that speed just as if I was using this as my left hand. So that's just kind of a brief tour of it. I'm sure I missed a ton of stuff. There's a lot more uses and a lot more potential issues you can have with this that I probably haven't talked about. But I just kind of wanted to touch on it because I know this has become a big part of my work. It's not necessary by any means. Again, for me, this is just to replace my left arm. So I'm really just using it to do everything that I was already doing by hand anyways. It just makes it so I can work longer and also work on bigger pieces. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day.